Prime Minister Scott Morrison has arrived in Rome, meeting leaders at two crucial conferences. Political Editor Andrew Clennell joins us live from Rome. Andrew, as the Prime Minister attends the G20, he can't quite shake off the nuclear subs issue and his dispute with the French.
That's right, Anna. So we know that half an hour before he took off, Emmanuel Macron finally made telephone contact with Scott Morrison and indicated his displeasure over the nuclear subs deal, which saw a cancelled submarine contract worth $90 billion and an agreement to use nuclear technology from the US and UK, known as AUKUS. Well, now there's been a bilateral meeting between the US President Joe Biden and the French President Emmanuel Macron, where Mr Biden has all but apologised to the French President, saying he was under the impression they had a lot of notice the deal was off at the time that AUKUS was announced.
What we did was clumsy. It was not done with a lot of grace. I was under the impression that France had been informed long before that the deal was not going through. I, honest to God, did not know you had not been.
Now, there's no bilateral meeting between Scott Morrison and Joe Biden or Scott Morrison and Emmanuel Macron at this G20 summit in Rome. But in about 3 hours' time, there'll be the family photo. So Scott Morrison and Emmanuel Macron will have to come into face-to-face contact together. I asked the Prime Minister on landing what happened in that phone call with Emmanuel Macron. Clearly it was tense, and what's the way forward? He says we've got to work with things we have in common with France, such as working in the Antarctica even, and in the Indo-Pacific. The timing of the call, it sounded like a tense call. And when he asked for something tangible in his statement, what do you think that is?
Well, I welcome the call, firstly, as I had written personally to President Macron and set out our keenness to find a way forward following the obvious disappointment, which we respect and understand. And so I very much appreciate the fact that he reached out to have that personal call, which we had last night before I joined you on the flight here. And so we've started the way back. I think that's a positive thing. Of course, there'll be candid conversations at the start as we deal with the issues as they've presented. But Australia and France have so many shared interests. Apart from being long-standing liberal democracies who share values and beliefs, our interests are shared in the Indo-Pacific. And the way you build back those relationships is you work together on the things that matter to us both.
Now, Scott Morrison ummed and ahed a bit about taking on this trip, which is the G20 summit in Rome for 2 days, then giving an address at the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow. But he decided to come. It was certainly a trip with some international risk, including that meeting with Macron or seeing him, and also in terms of the fact that many countries are pushing Australia to have a stronger medium-term emissions target, even as the Prime Minister has managed a net zero deal with the Nationals. I asked the Prime Minister, was he expecting any flack at Glasgow? Cop any flack at all for not a stronger medium-term target? And what do you think of Boris Johnson's comments being pessimistic about what will come out of the COP26?
Well, I wish Boris all the best for this COP26. He chaired a magnificent G7 Plus in Carbis Bay earlier this year, which I attended. And, you know, Boris is really good at these events on trying to get people to focus on what's most important. I'm sure he will do everything he can to get the best possible outcome here, but one that respects the different views and starting points and where people are at in the journey. I think that's a very important point. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to discussions over the next few days, but Australian policy is very clear. Our interests are determined in the policies that we've set out. They're designed for Australia and our way forward.